Can I go to the area of climate change now and transformation to a low-carbon economy? Last month you were pushing a plan to cut energy consumption by up to 3% a year with a national energy efficiency scheme. What's happened to that proposal? It's nowhere to be seen. Are we going to see it in this next week?
I think you're referring to the task force that was set up, which is looking at energy efficiency. And of course,
they've reported. You've got that report, as I understand it.
The government has received a report, but can I make clear we have already acted on energy efficiency in some of the policy announcements the Prime Minister has made.
But we don't have anything close to a national energy efficiency plan.
Well, let's remember, one of the things the Prime Minister has announced is tax breaks for green buildings. This will ensure that we bring forward the investment by building owners to retrofit buildings to make them more efficient. Now, commercial buildings make up some 10% of our emissions. This is a very substantial policy announcement that we have put on the table because we are serious about energy efficiency. But let's remember the key issue on climate change here is you have two leaders, one who says, I believe in climate change, I've got a plan to take us to a low pollution economy, I'm laying out my plan, here it is. And Mr Abbott, who says the science of climate change is absolute crap. We have a leader in Julia Gillard who says, I want to put a limit on carbon. And Mr Abbott, whose policies will ensure that carbon pollution rises by 13% by the end of this decade.
It's 10 to 8 on Breakfast. Our guest this morning is Climate Change and Water Minister Penny Wong. Well, let's go to the key messages about climate change and about putting a limit on climate. Kevin Rudd, when he was Prime Minister in 2007, promised that Labor would have three key domestic responses to the challenge of climate change: a renewable energy target of 20% by 2020, which is now in place. Also, a national energy efficiency strategy and an emissions trading scheme. If we don't have a national energy efficiency scheme, that means two of the three key policies for combating global warming have fallen over or not materialised. This is going to make it impossible for you to meet your target of a 5% cut in carbon pollution by 2020, isn't it?
Well, hang on. Let's just take one step back. First, renewable energy. We've delivered on that, and we've added to that $1 billion to bring renewable energy to the grid. Second, in terms of a cap on pollution, we have said absolutely we're not going to pretend, like Mr Abbott does, that we can reduce emissions without putting a cap on pollution. We know we have to, and we've laid out a range of strategies to get there.
But not by 5% by 2020.
Hang on. Oh, well, that's not right. What we've said is we do need a cap on pollution to meet our targets. We've announced policies such as emission standards for power stations to ensure we don't continue to have dirty coal-fired power stations built in this country. We've announced very clear policies around mandatory emission standards for the fleet, and we have said we need to put a cap on pollution. Julia has said she will lead that debate, but we do need to bring people with us. So we are not doing what Mr Abbott is doing, which is saying, pretending that we can meet our policies. We know his policies will actually lead to emissions rising.
With respect, Minister, in terms of needing to bring people with you, I mean, the polls all show the majority of the people are with you. They want to do more. So the question is, yes, we need to. The people agree. But when and how? We still don't have the National Energy Efficiency Strategy. The Climate Institute says that carbon pollution under current Labor policy is tracking to increase by 19% by 2020. What new policies are going to deliver a 5% target cut?
Well, Fran, I've just laid out to you. We are doing a range of things. We're bringing more renewables to the grid. We are putting in place emission standards for the fleet to reduce emissions from our cars. We are putting in place standards for new coal-fired power stations so we don't have a highly polluting, dirty power station.
I understand that, but are you saying that...
And we are saying to meet our targets, up front with the Australian people, we will need to put a cap on carbon. And Julia has said we need a cap on carbon. We support a market mechanism to achieve that. And she will lead the debate to ensure that we have a strong community consensus on this issue. And why do we need that? Let's remember, I negotiated, and I think I spoke to you at length about this, Fran, for a very long time with Malcolm Turnbull and Mr McFarlane. We shook hands on a deal torn apart by Mr Abbott. That's what occurred. Now, so long as Mr Abbott is leader of the Liberal Party, we know he will vehemently oppose putting a cap on carbon. The only way, just like John Howard opposed Medicare, and we know that what that took was the building of a very strong consensus and support in the Australian community until Mr Howard was dragged to the position he had to support Medicare. We have to do the same thing for action on climate change.
We must go, but very quickly, can you tell me, is that a pledge to deliver your 5% target cut?
Oh, we have said we're committed to our targets, but we have also said, unlike Mr Abbott, these targets cannot be met unless we put a cap on pollution.
Okay.
This is how we need to get there.
Senator Penny Wong, thank you very much for joining us.
Good to speak with you.